Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia, episode 150. I'm your host, Jacob Rush, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Ryan Black and Joshua Taylor, and we are back and we're playing with Power, and happy birthday to us. This is our third birthday as a podcast. This is quite surreal, Ryan. I remember the first time we ever launched as a show. We didn't know what we were doing. Fun fact, the reason this show, our birthday falls on Halloween is because our original launch episode, episode number 1, we screwed up something with getting it posted. We didn't know what we were doing back then, so it actually got delayed today because it was supposed to go up, and I was at work all day, couldn't get it figured out, so we decided, okay, we'll post it on the next morning, which happened to be Halloween. So Halloween is our birthday, and we like that. We really like that. And how appropriate is that the very first episode we ever did, ironically, was Luigi's Mansion. And Luigi's Mansion 3 falls on our third birthday, which is Halloween, the day it's being released. That's pretty cool, am I right?
Pretty awesome how that all lined up, man. Really.
That was not planned. I mean, the Switch wasn't even a public thing at the time when we launched this show, so that's just what a great, crazy coincidence. Hence why we felt very appropriate to do a Luigi's Mansion 3 giveaway for our third anniversary of a podcast. So we're going into season 4, but this is our third birthday. Josh, how you doing, brother? Welcome back to the show. Glad one of our part-time co-hosts could join us. Tom Qualls could not be here tonight, FYI. He is just a busy man. He's a teacher, and he's just got lots of crazy things going on. So you will not hear from Old Man Tom, voicemail, or on the show, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. But Josh, sorry. How you doing, man?
All right. Glad to be here again.
Thank you for running all the campaign stuff, by the way, for our podcast. Getting this giveaway going was a big push by Josh, and he was able to run the ship on all of that. And guys, we're going to Radical Rex real fast, but we've got a big episode to do. We got a lot to go through, and we have voicemails. We opened up the hotline for the first time in a while. Honestly, we need to open up our hotline a little bit more frequent, I really feel like, moving forward here. But Ryan, before we do Radical Rex, why don't you do our due diligence real fast?
Sure thing, man. You can find us at our home website, www.thenintendovillage.com/Nintendo Nostalgia. You can find us and listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. We're also available on YouTube if you want to listen to us there. You can find us at Facebook, facebook.com/NintendoNOS, on our Twitter at Nintendo_NOS. Shoot us an email, NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com, and we're also on Instagram at NintendoNOSIN.
Radical. So let's get into what we have been Radical Rexing about. All right, Ryan, you have been so excited to be Radical Rexing tonight. Unfortunately, we have such a long episode. We have to limit you, my friend.
I'm very sad.
Why don't you go ahead and just Radical Rex about the number one thing that you are stoked about tonight?
You know, it's perfect for this occasion. So, as some of you may know, yesterday was my last official working day for GameStop. For a while. I'll be back. I'll be back there. But I'm departing for greater things. Making some moves in my life and going on to new job and what have you. But I got a takeaway. So I last night after getting ready to leave work, and they had this Luigi stand that was just sitting there, and then they had it in the back room because kids, I guess, were beating up on him. I'm like, I will rescue him out of the kindness of my heart. And so he let me take him home, and so I've got Luigi hanging out behind us here. Perfect for the episode tonight.
Very perfect. He looks like a giant green gummy bear, to be honest. I won't lie.
He does.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo capitalizes on that. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, cool. It goes along like earlier in the year. I got that the Luigi Mario Maker standee.
Yeah, he's right off
and so like I've got this Luigi now to go along with them. Like, yeah, just keep bringing the standees. I'm not a huge Luigi fan, but hey, I will be a Luigi fan for this episode.
Very cool, very cool. And Josh, what are you Radical Rexing about, man?
Oh goodness. Let's see. So I'm actually like not a whole lot going on with games, hopping around all over the place. Finished up ukulele already, so just kind of cruising along until Luigi's Mansion comes out. Starting a little side job, basically delivering some food and stuff to earn a little extra cash.
Can I order?
So
and you ship it and you bring it to me?
It would take a heck of a long time, but we can see. I might ask for a tip, but
I'll only tip if it's still warm.
We'll see. I'll see what I
And then
he didn't say that.
Not getting a tip.
It would be warm. I mean, you know.
Josh lives a couple states away for our listeners if you don't know, so that would be. I better call someone else.
In the frightening land of West Virginia.
Yeah. Was there anything besides just your new job?
Yeah, not a whole lot right now.
Cool. Okay. No worries, man. Well, and what I'm Radical Rexing about, I just kind of like you, Ryan. And I mean, shocker, every week I have a lot I'm kind of Radical Rexing about. It's just my birthday month, so I just have a lot going on. Golly gee, I don't know what to talk about. I got, it's kind of a rare birthday, I guess, unintentional. I do plan on having my Banjo-Kazooie cake for my birthday party with the NOS crew guys this next Saturday, the ones that will be there. And that's going to be a fun time, but I have been getting a good friend of the show who's been on. He's a guest. He'll be back. Sean, he sent me a gift. I have another one apparently on the way too that's not here yet, and it's bigger than this. But he sent me this rare wear hat, and I am in love with it. I'm wearing it tonight on the episode. It's freaking fantastic. It's my new favorite hat, and I will be wearing it all winter long. You better believe it. But on top of that, with that, I had yesterday went out with my in-laws for my birthday. And they got me a bunch of Banjo-Kazooie merchandise from Fangamer. I got the googly-eyed pins, I got my Banjo-Kazooie jacket that fits like a charm, and I got my Gruntilda t-shirt as well. So I am just raring it up. I love it. I'm raring to go. This is truly a comeback year for Banjo-Kazooie, and I freaking love it. So that's where I'm at. But guys, we have a lot more fun things to do tonight. We had our listeners call in if they wanted to, and we have about 5 voicemails, so let's get into them.
Hey guys, this is Logan from Utah. I just wanted to call and say congrats on the 3-year anniversary of the show. I started listening to you guys about a year and a half ago. I was looking for a gaming podcast to listen to, specifically Nintendo related, and I came across you guys. Really great stuff. I even went back and listened to all of your earlier episodes, and I've been a fan ever since. I specifically love how you guys put an emphasis on nostalgia, and the parts of the show that resonate with me the most are when you guys talk about your personal memories with Nintendo games. Like when Jacob first got his Nintendo 64, or how you guys would play games when you went to Pizza Hut. It's stuff like that that makes this my favorite podcast to listen to, because it reminds me of my own Nintendo nostalgia. That leads me to a question for you guys. Are there any traditions involving gaming you guys try to keep up with? So, for example, I really love the Luigi's Mansion games, and every year around Halloween, I've made it a tradition to play the original Luigi's Mansion around Halloween or Halloween weekend, which makes me super excited that Luigi's Mansion 3 is coming out on Halloween this year. That's super awesome. I love how Nintendo does that. But yeah, anyways, I was just kind of curious if you guys had anything like that. But yeah, other than that, congrats again. Thanks for putting out the great content, and keep up the great work.
Logan, man, your message, I have got to say, it warms my heart. I mean, I'm just smiling from ear to ear, and like, it's exciting for Ryan and I. Like, that's what this show is all about. When this show started, we were I've said it before on the show, but I really feel like we were born out of a hard time for Nintendo. I remember wanting to start a podcast, and I approached Ryan about this because people were just really beating up on Nintendo. And this is a company that I love and adored, but these were the dark Wii U days, and Nintendo was struggling. We didn't know even what the NX really was at that time. And I wanted to remind people why they loved Nintendo. And the game company that they grew up on, it was still that same company today. It's there, and clearly that's happening now with the Switch, now that it's full force and things are going. But at that time, it was purely just like living off of the past and like holding on to like, this is why I love this company. You know, I still enjoyed the Wii U, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying it just in general, the Nintendo was not adored by the masses at that time like they are at the moment. And that makes me so happy. I love sharing our stories. That's what Ryan and I wanted. We wanted our stories to help others remember their stories, and to think back to those good times and to keep those things alive. You know, it's important to never forget that stuff and to keep that, cherish that, you know, and like be a kid at heart always. And I cherish all my gaming memories with all of my best friends from that I grew up with and my family. So, Ryan, care to add, man?
Yeah, man. I'm so glad that you brought me into this podcast just to talk about memories, because we would just spend hours talking on the phone to each other about our nostalgia for things, and it's really awesome to just share that with everybody. And I like how we go over some episodes and we have HD remakes and stuff, and like there's still new stuff that I'm remembering even today, and I can share it with people that I didn't get to share that last episode we covered that game. And it's always magical, and it's always great to just continue to unlock those memories that I've forgotten, and then to go back and listen to them again to keep them and cherish them. And that's something that I encourage everybody to do, is just kind of like remind yourself of the nostalgia you're making now, and then so you can look back in years later and then show it to your kids and show it to your friends and just talk about it and shout about it like we do today. It's really cool.
And Josh, I know Josh is newer to the show. I mean, Josh joined our NOS crew this year. Josh is really involved. He's driven out to my house for E3 from 2 states away. I mean, that gets you some cred right there. So, Josh, you know, care to add to Logan's comment and to even yourself, how you originally got connected with our show?
Oh yeah, I mean, I haven't. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be on from the beginning, and I started listening about, I think it was about 1.5 years ago, much like he was. And, you know, I was trying to think about that the other day. Honestly, can't remember how I came across it, but I did go back and pretty much catch up and listen to everything. But yeah, it's cool to be a part of it now. I know you guys especially, and now me being on a good handful of episodes, not only do you have those old memories, but now you have them recorded, so you can go back 10 years from now, possibly, if you want, and pull it up, and there you go. Like, you have that down somewhere. It's almost like writing a little book in an odd way.
At that point, we're going to have to just do nostalgic episodes about our episodes.
Yeah. But he also mentioned traditions. I actually can't think of anything like that off the top of my head. I've always thought about like, hey, like I love the first Luigi's Mansion. I was like, that would be awesome to play through to Halloween because it's kind of short. But I'd be afraid I wouldn't stick to it, so I've never like really dedicated myself to it. I played through it this year again, but yeah, I'm thinking real hard about that one. But I don't think there's anything like that I've really done.
Ryan, what about you? To answer Logan's questions, got any traditions that you do with games?
Yes, I have a rotation of games. I had to play one of these games like every year, at least one of them. And then I always play Super Metroid every year. I played through that at least once, if not twice or 3 times.
Really? Have you played it this year?
But yeah, what's that?
Have you played it this year?
Yeah, I even streamed some of it. So yeah, I've beaten it twice this year. So
wow.
But I also I have a rotation. I'll play Final Fantasy VIII, Tales of Symphonia, The World Ends With You. I'll kind of rotate those 3, and sometimes I'll sprinkle in like some other RPG that was kind of influential to me. But mostly I keep it to those 3. and I really enjoy it. You know, and semi, like I say every other year, I tend to go back to Ocarina of Time as well and play through that in some form or another. So
Interesting.
yeah, I try to keep up with that.
Tradition for myself. I don't really feel like I have actual traditions where like I pull this game out every year at this time. I definitely will. I know the way I go about, and this might be like, well, duh, and everyone does this, but like I've mentioned on the show, like I really like to save my most favorite, some of my most favorite games for Christmas and my birthday, simply because those are really important times to me. I make them big deals in my life, and I feel like if I tie a strong game to those moments, they will have a longer lasting impact. So Luigi's Mansion 3, the reason I'm having my birthday party this coming weekend instead of last weekend, because my birthday is really the 22nd, is because I wanted to celebrate I wanted Luigi's Mansion 3 for my birthday. So have it, get it, Halloween. It's going to be a great weekend. I mean, my daughter's having her first true Halloween, and we're going to go trick or treating, and I'm going to come back, and I have the rest of the week and weekend off from work, and I'll be eating candy and playing Luigi's Mansion, and without a care in the world, and that's all going. The only thing that's going to make me stop playing it is when the guys come over to have an awesome birthday party. So, that's what I mean by that. Or like Mario Odyssey. Fantastic game. Loved it. One of my favorite Mario games now. Mario 64 is my favorite. It's just, it has so much. It had so much there for me that it said, you need to buy this day one. And I purposely waited for Christmas because I wanted to open it on Christmas morning and have the joy and magical feeling of Christmas to play that game. Just like I had with the 64 games that you mentioned, So I guess that's kind of my tradition with games for sure, is that like I will tie a strong game that I'm really, really, really looking forward to Christmas and my birthday, just to enhance the feelings and the emotions with it. So, but like Ryan too, I like to let a handful of years go by before I replay a game. Well, except for Donkey Kong Country, I guess. But I typically like to let, like the Wind Waker, for example, I replayed that on the Wii U when it came out, but I had let like 5 or 7 years go by before I had touched it again, because I like to forget stuff too. I think I remember this, and I think it's fun to like revisit a game and try to relearn the game, and you get to re-experience like, oh yeah, this is how it works, and I think that's cool too. So maybe annually like that. That's kind of a tradition, but that's like every couple of years. So great phone call, Logan. Thank you so much for calling. Ryan, we got a couple more for tonight. Let's lean into them here.
Hi, NOS crew. This is Isaac. Just wanted to call in. You guys had the request to call in since it's your big anniversary. Congrats to you guys for 3 years. I think that's a huge milestone, especially since there's a lot of different podcasts, different ones that have not lasted even a fraction of that. So keep up the good work, guys. Excellent job. Of course, enjoy, you guys. Lots to cover, though. You guys had a few things that when you first heard you guys, just happened to stumble upon Nintendo podcast. So talk about nostalgia, which I'm all about. So that have to be just random, but I'm glad I did. Been able to go back in the archives, listen to some older games that I remember playing and that you guys covered. So just really enjoyed that aspect. But my favorite, I think, that you guys have still done, since it's one of my favorites, is probably Metroid Prime. I just really enjoyed how you guys broke that down, what you guys do with a lot of games, but I just have a personal place for that and the nostalgia, so that would be my favorite. When it comes to requesting a game for you guys to cover, though, that was another thing to mention. I would say anything Star Fox that you guys haven't covered yet. I'm not sure if you guys have done Star Fox Adventures, Star Fox 64, Star Fox Assault. Those are one of my favorite games, just the franchise as a whole, Star Fox. So that would be my suggestion to throw in the ring. I do have a question for you guys, just on a side note, too. I know it's a pretty big one to cover, but I happen to see IGN had a top 5 games. Actually, it was top 10, but I just thought top 5 would be a little easier to go with. So what is your top 5 favorite games of all time? And I know you guys have talked about what your favorites are in the past, but to make an actual list, what is your top 5 games of all time? So my personal 5, I'd say I'm with, or number 5, Super Smash Brothers Melee. I think that you could almost put any Smash Brothers there, but my personal preference, I would put that as my 5. The top 4, I could almost rearrange, though. It goes back and forth depending on the mood, but I think I could settle with number 4. That would be Metroid Prime. That one I can just fire up and play anytime pretty much. Number 3, I would put Zelda Ocarina of Time. Same thing. Got a lot of nostalgia with that when it first came out. Number 2, put Super Metroid. Same thing with Metroid Prime. I can play that, but if I'm in the mood for more 2D, more Super Nintendo.
Isaac, man, your phone call cut off at the end. I don't know what number 1 was. You got to tweet at us and let us know. Man, again, thanks for the call, too. Man, Ryan, these phone calls are warming my heart. I really didn't expect them to warm my heart so much. Thank you guys for calling. I appreciate this, and it makes me happy. Like that people are, Ryan. It's just cool to see that why we started this podcast. Like it's actually happening. I love that people, when we talk about Metroid Prime, people are just like relishing over their first experiences. Like, yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing this and going through this, and it's such a great feeling, and that makes me so happy. It's so full of joy, guys. Thank you, Isaac. So, man, Isaac, your question is not easy to answer because I kind of like you. Like, it's kind of like the mood I'm in. Like, my top 4 or 5 can shuffle. Like, what am I playing currently, or what am I really missing? And that can really, like, what am I getting nostalgic for? I guess that could, like, catapult stuff to number 1, but I will try to answer this as purely as possible. So I'm going to make Josh go first so I can think a little bit, since he's the noob host here.
Under the bus. All right, so I'm actually sitting here typing it up as he was talking because I have to really think about this. Like you all, it depends on the mood. So, just off the top of my head, and I'm sure I'm missing something. I want to shout out one thing first because this is new and it's special in more ways than one. Is honestly, Ukulele and the Impossible Lair is becoming pretty special to me. I don't know if it's on this list, but it's new and fresh, so I got to let that one set. So I'm not going to mention it anymore. So number 5, I'm going to skip that. Actually, let's just put it there. How about we just put it there for now? Because I got the rest. I'll keep it to 1 per series. So 4 would be Super Mario World. That was my first. I won't stick on it too long, but that was the first video game I remember playing. So then 3 would be Ocarina of Time. Number 2. Now these 1 and 2s flip flop a lot. Number 2, as of 2 minutes ago, is Donkey Kong Country 2, which leaves number 1 to Banjo Kazooie. But those 2 flip flop. That's what I got.
Cool. Ryan, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay, go for it.
All right. There's so many games I can slot in here. It's just so easy to flip them all around and just like.
There's a lot of good games.
Like to really like narrow it down. Like some of my favorite games actually have come to the Switch, or are coming to the Switch. So it's really great to be able to have those available like at my fingertips on the go. But one game that I haven't really seen come to the Switch or announced for the Switch, and I'd love to see it. They've had another one on the series come to it, but Tales of Symphonia is a big one for me. I love Tales of Symphonia so much. And it's like the bigger RPGs that really catch me and hit some of my list here. That's my number 5. Number 4 is definitely Final Fantasy VIII, and I have been enjoying the remastered on the Switch, like playing that. It's just, that's a dream come true for me. Like, so many like things that's like hit it out of the park
Must be nice. Still waiting on Banjo.
And then my number 3 is also one that came to the Switch, a dream game that I never expected to come, and that's The World Ends With You, Final Remix.
God.
It's just amazing. And then, of course, I have access to what was my all-time favorite game up until a certain other game came out and knocked it off its high horse. That's Super Metroid. That's my number 2 favorite game. And my number 1 is definitely Breath of the Wild. Just because of all the things that I can do with Breath of the Wild. Like, there's so many cool ways to explore and things to discover, and like the physics and tricks that I can pull off, and just it's just such a magical world, and I could get lost in it for days and weeks and months and not even care.
That's great, Ryan. I mean, they're great. They're great choices, man. Especially Super Metroid. That's a classic.
Good choice.
I love that. I still need to play Tales. I've never played a Tales of Symphonia game. I'm surprised too, since you've been my friend my whole life and you've never forced me to play that. So maybe it comes.
And there's a possibility. I mean, it did have an HD. They brought one to PS3 and did a collection there. So there's a possibility it could come to the Switch someday, and then all of my favorite games, my top 5, will be on the Switch. It'd be amazing.
There you go. Okay, so my top 5. Gosh, this is hard. I'm going to try to pick games that really, really radically like affected me as a gamer, and I'll try to be a little diverse in that. But number 5, I'll have to say, I'll make it. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. It's my favorite Zelda game of all time. I love that game. I still think it's better even after a Breath of the Wild has come out. I enjoy it. I love the cartoony art style. Love the music on the game. Love the story. So you got that. Number 4, Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime was a revolutionary game to me. I had never really played a game quite like it as exploration, and I really didn't play many first shooters. The only first shooter I really had ever played up to that point was GoldenEye, which is a great game. And that's a debate to be in this top 5, honestly, from my nostalgic standpoint. But Metroid Prime is beautiful. It's awesome, and it was really such a key point to me as a gamer when I was in my early teenage years, and just getting into this whole new series. I actually debate that Metroid is the series, and Zelda as well, were the 2 series that helped fill the void when Rare was no longer with Nintendo, and they went on to Microsoft, because I've only played Nintendo my whole life. So having Metroid become such a strong impact in my life really filled the void of those Rareless years of the early years with Nintendo there. Number 3, this is where it gets really hard. Oh my goodness, I'm thinking games like that should be my top 5. But Undertale is going to be my number 3. Undertale is, I played it last year for the first time, and it rocked my world. It was a game that I actually got more hooked on the soundtrack than I did the actual game first, which made me want to play the game even more. And that story is deep. That story really gives me the feels, and I could play that game over and over again. And it's short enough to where like it's easy to do, but it's so clever. It's so unreal. It's really a game of this generation and this decade. So Undertale is number 3. Number 2, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. Hands down, I think is one of the best, if not the best platformer ever to exist. I think the soundtrack is amazing. The platforming is amazing. The levels are amazing. What the today current Playtonic team did in that Rare game back in the day is just phenomenal. And I have so many nostalgic memories that tie to it with my best friend Traven from growing up, from preschool, playing that game. I love that game, and it is the defining point of the Donkey Kong Country franchise, new and old to me. I think it is the best game in the series. And then my number one is Banjo-Kazooie. What a shock. It's I love that bear and bird, and I have missed them so long. I argue that, and I feel silly because Mario 64 is not in this category, and I love Mario 64, but and that's my number one Mario game of all time. But Banjo-Kazooie did everything Mario 64 did and better, and I think it had better music as well. Overall, like, there's some good music on Mario 64, but we've done our fair share of covering that game. You guys know I love that game, but Banjo-Kazooie was one of the games where I really became a true gamer. Like, I really, became obsessed. I always loved games growing up, but this was the years where I, like, really could catch on and really fully embrace video games at a constant all the time, and I was, when 64 came out, I was 6 years old, so that's 6 years to to when I was 10 or 11. That's a prime time for kids to be playing games, wouldn't you guys say? That 6 to 11 age range, like, that's when I was fully embraced, and that's truly when I became a full-on gamer of my own. I didn't have my big brothers showing me stuff. This was me and my system. That's why I love the 64 so much. And Banjo-Kazooie was there to change my world. So number one is Banjo-Kazooie. So hopefully we're doing justice to these guys, these questions for everybody. So because we're answering them long. We're already almost 40 minutes in. My goodness. Well, let's get to the next phone call. Thanks for calling, Isaac. I hope we answered that well.
Jacob, Brian, this is Tim Off, calling in to say hi. I haven't talked to you guys in a long time, maybe a few times online, but I had to call in after listening to 148. Great episode, by the way. But to say congratulations on your third anniversary. It's been awesome to be a listener of your show. You guys do an awesome job and do a great job of what you guys do. And always enjoy every episode that I listen to, especially about my favorite games I have nostalgia for. And can't help but listen back to the episode we did together back in episode 95 about Double Dash. I remember how much people talked about that episode after that, at least in regards to which game was better on the GameCube, or which game was better, not necessarily on the GameCube, but between Double Dash and Diddy Kong and all that stuff. So, but again, congratulations about third anniversary, and apologize for not maybe having a more coherent voicemail, but hopefully you guys are having a good show or having a good anniversary, a special, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Thanks for letting me leave a message. Bye.
Tim, thank you for calling, man.
Thank you.
And yeah, dude, we loved that episode, and it was a good episode, and yeah, it sparked a lot of conversation. And we'll have to have you back on again, man, for another episode sometime in the future. Season 4 is prime for the pickings on who we need for guests coming up over the next year. So, yeah, thanks for the call, man. I know you really spoke up too after I believe the DS episode. Really, you really enjoyed that one because we talked about a lot of your favorite gems of games. So, Tim, yeah, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for calling.
Hey, man, I gotta say, like, congratulations, man, on your new, like, promotion to an official Nintendo Dad host. Like, welcome to the team, and I love listening to your show. Shout out to your guys' 250 episodes. We're catching up, slowly but surely.
Yeah, we're a little behind, but...
But yes, congratulations on becoming a new Nintendo Dad there, and being the host and joining those fine people over there. Except for you, Marty.
You watch it. Marty's going to be paying us a visit sometime soon, so I'll let you have it.
Okay, you haven't listened, but he has torn Diddy Kong Racing to shreds, and everything that you love, Jacob, pretty much he tears to shreds. So I don't know why you're defending him.
We'll have his. I'll have a take at him when he comes on here. So he'll
okay,
have
this isn't throwing shades at Nintendo Dads. It's saying thank you so much, Tim, all for calling in.
We love every Nintendo Dad, by the way. Seriously. We forgot to mention to our last caller on Isaac's. I just realized, Isaac, we've done a Star Fox 64 episode, and well, it was kind of based on the series. It was supposed to be a 64, but it kind of spun in a little bit about each game. So I do think we need to go back and maybe do some 64. But you just wait, my friend. We actually will be answering one of your requests very soon. So you don't have to wait much longer. Cool. Ryan, we have another phone call?
Hey, NOS crew, it's Robbie. I gotta say, my favorite episode, it's kind of hard to pick. There'll always be a special place in my heart for my first episode of Tales of Symphonia. But if I had to pick one, it would probably when we finally proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Mario Kart is the superior racer. Like, Diddy Kong Racing, tried. They really tried. But, Mario Kart just blew it out of the water. So I'm glad we were finally able to settle that. That was such a relief, and there was great rejoicing when we did. So, yeah, it's awesome. You guys have had 3 years. I can't wait to see what you guys do next year, and to possibly be on that journey. Well, you guys have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.
Took all my strength not to mute that and stop it.
Yeah, it took me a lot of strength not to even just post that voicemail right there. Just kidding, man. Thank you for calling. Diddy Kong Racing will always be better than Mario Kart. I don't care what anyone says.
Agreed.
I agree to that one.
Great games. The best games don't need sequels. Put it that way. How about that? We don't need sequels. That's why it's that good. So,
and they definitely don't need horrible ports on DS.
Yeah, let's not talk about
Doesn't
that
count.
one. Right. At least it's not a cheap mobile app game grab.
True.
Money cash grab now.
And it didn't get Pink Gold Peach or Pink Gold Tipsy or whatever it would have gotten.
Well, they make you pay like $40 to get Diddy, so that tells you how important he actually is.
This is true.
So, you know what I mean? Ryan, do we have one more voicemail? Is that correct?
One more, yes.
One more. Let's play it, man.
It is from the Royal Trash Turkey himself.
Oh,
hey,
gobble,
I gotta
gobble.
let you know, Mr. Turkey, next month is not your month.
Yeah, go into hiding.
Hey guys, it's me, the Trash Turkey, calling in to wish you a happy 3rd birthday. Guys, happy birthday. You guys do awesome work. You'd ask for some favorite memories. I would have to say the episode on Beautiful Joe. Not many people are talking about Beautiful Joe, and so that was a really cool episode for me to get you guys talk about that. I think some of your special episodes are just amazing. The one on commercials, looking at old commercials and different things like that was really cool. And, of course, the Nintendo Master Quiz. Better luck next time. I was sorry to see the PSVG crew kind of come in on your home court and dominate you like that. So we can't have that happen again. So anyways, guys, thank you very much for awesome content. And, the episode I was on was decent. It wasn't good. But anyways, you guys are the best. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day. Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble, Mr. Turkey. Thank you so much for calling. Your episode was just fine, by the way. It was a a music episode. That was great. And we need to have you back on the show too, man. But, dude, yeah, you know what? That quiz show, I think it was rigged. I swear, man, some of the questions I got was bogus, but I'm studying up for whenever another quiz show were to appear, and we might even have to recruit Josh Taylor to be on.
I was yelling at the radio. I remember listening to it on the way to work. And I was yelling in my car. I was like, no, come on. Like, this one's easy.
And the commercials episode was fun, and there's a lot of commercials, so expect more commercial episodes to come. That was really fun. Anything else, Ryan, you want to add to that?
Oh man, if we would have had Josh, like, we would have dominated. He's our secret weapon for the next game show. Yes, Master Quiz, we're going to dominate.
Category.
Maybe we can do like a fighter game where you be like, where you can just like tag somebody and someone who's not on the screen can jump in and replace me or replace you, and you know what I'm saying, like a good DBZ game.
Thank you so much, Trash Turkey. Keep busting that backlog, and we love your show too. You and Grachi over there, you guys are awesome. Thank you for listening and supporting us, and we love you.
Totally. Okay, well, guys, we are 46 minutes into this podcast, and it is time to get rolling. We haven't had a long. We've had some long ones, Josh. Like we've gone like 2 hours, a little over before. But it's been a long time. Typically, we're pretty good about being done in about an hour. But I'm going to try not to go 2 hours today. But I think we can get to. We got some stuff to talk about. And in honor of Luigi's Mansion 3, we're not dedicating this game to Luigi's Mansion 2, even though we haven't done that episode yet. We're just going to talk about the series in general and where it's at and what we're looking forward to with Luigi's Mansion 3. So, guys, that's what it's all about, Luigi's Mansion. Okay. Guys, Josh, since you're back again, why don't we start with you? What was your first introduction to Luigi's Mansion, period? Like, what do you remember most about, like, when you first saw this franchise?
So I remember seeing it.
Where were you?
I believe it was magazine pictures and scans from Space World 2000. Those first few screenshots. Also, there was, I can't remember where I got it from. I probably still got it in a box, but it was a little DVD of like GameCube games, of trailers and things like that. And I remember putting it in that computer. Shoot, I remember it at my grandma's house in particular, and would sit there and watch it over and over again. I think it had like Luigi's Mansion on it and a couple other games, but I remember it would get to like the trailer would stop at the press start screen, and that would drive me nuts because obviously I couldn't press start yet. I didn't have a GameCube. I got the GameCube of Christmas of 2001 of that year, so I was able to play it like shortly after it was out, and it was one of my first games, and I've probably played through it. I honestly have lost count. I wanted to guess 6 or 7 times, but it's been a good bit.
Like my initial like intertwining with that is like purple GameCube and Luigi's Mansion just go hand in hand.
They do.
The ads were just on point in that generation. I remember when I saw Luigi's Mansion, and I thought, I don't know if I'm gonna like this game. And every Luigi's Mansion after that, I look at it like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this game, but when I play them, I have a heck of a lot of fun. So I'm really excited for this Luigi's Mansion 3 that's coming. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get it launch day. I'm not gonna sure if I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do the multiplayer. When really, I know as trend continues, this is gonna be perfect for me, and I'm gonna enjoy it so much. But going back to the early days, like I remember playing this game with my cousins. I believe it was some kind of Christmas party or New Year's party or something, and we were going through the mansion together, and it was just so much fun to explore it. We all jumped out whenever the ghost would pop out behind you and scare you, and like we just and then like Chauncey, the baby, the terror, just so many good like scary memories, and it wasn't something that was really captured too much for me in the second one, and I'm hoping that this third one really captures it too. But that's my early memories of Luigi's Mansion.
Myself, obviously I didn't have a GameCube at launch, but you know who did? Mr. Traven Jonas had a GameCube at launch, and I'm positive that this was one of the games he got. He got this, and he had the Rogue Squadron, so I just kind of remember watching him play it a little bit. But I'm with you, Ryan. Every time I think of the GameCube, Luigi's Mansion is probably one of the first games I think of because it was there at launch, and it was on the back of my GameCube box. And just a fun, random time in my life, stuff I really regret doing today, but at the time, I can't lie, like it really helped me out as a teenager with not even that, just a preteen with no money to get games at that time. So Ryan introduced me to the world of trading in video games, and I'm positive I traded in a bunch of classic Nintendo 64 games that today I would regret, but to get more GameCube games. I had my GameCubes, and I know for a fact that I got Sonic Adventure 2 Battle and Luigi's Mansion. They were the second and third games I ever got for my GameCube, and I did it by trading in games at a Funko Land next to Toys R Us down on East Washington Street here on the east side of Indy, and it was. Like I said, at that time, I didn't care. I was like, see ya, 64 games. I'm going on to the GameCube. Today I really makes me want to kind of throw up a little bit thinking like that. But back then, I didn't care. And I got those two games. I had just had Melee from the launch of it, Smash Bros. Melee. And, I played a crap ton of it, but I wanted some more games. I remember getting these games, and I remember playing Luigi's Mansion. It was like the first day of football practice because I played football all the way from third grade all the way through high school. And man, I did not want to stop playing my GameCube. I remember sitting in my football pad pants, waiting for my mom to come get me to go to football practice because it was also the last day of summer too. So it's the last day of summer, first day of football practice. I just got my new games. I really don't want to go to football practice, and I want to make summer last every second it could. You know what I mean? So that was my original memories with Luigi's Mansion. And by gosh, that first game was something else. It was entirely different. Because you think of Mario Brothers, guys. Let's talk about this first game a little bit more here. Like, you think of platforming. You think of 3D adventures. And this is the first time where we're really, like, taking the reins with Luigi. And the question at the time was, where the heck is Mario? Like, why are we just Luigi? Where is Mario at? It was not what we all had expected. Typically with the Mario Brother, you expect to be running around like Mario 64 as Luigi. That's kind of, I think, maybe people's initial concepts when they first saw it. Maybe that's what they thought it was going to be like. But you're taking on ghosts instead of Bowser and the Koopas, But no, it was entirely different. It was a whole new mechanic. And did the idea of Luigi's Mansion seem appealing to you guys? Or did it seem like, it doesn't look very fun, or that's kind of weird?
It didn't grab me too much at first. Like, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it because... Mario was the star, and Luigi was always that character that you made your friends play. And they'd always die, so Luigi
sibling.
was awful.
That was me, the younger sibling.
But I have a lot more appreciation for Luigi because of this game. Like, he became so much more of a hero to me, and I started feeling sorry for him a little bit, always being the second fiddle, but I gained a love for Luigi from Luigi's Mansion. First and foremost, and so it no longer became that character that I didn't like, that I had made someone else play. Like, I was okay with playing him, and then I kind of got a taste of that with Mario 2 because Luigi could jump higher. It was cooler; they could jump higher, but that was about it. Like, he was still different than everybody else, and so and this, it was so much so that they really highlighted how different Luigi was instead of just being in Mario Shadow, just another clone of Mario. And I really liked that they took him in a new direction.
Yeah, I mean, for me around that time, I've always been a big first-party Nintendo guy. So it automatically had me just for the simple fact that it was like this new cool systems. To me, it was like the biggest game that was coming out at the launch. I love Melee, but it was more like the multiplayer thing. This was like the big single-player experience, so it grabbed my attention. It was definitely something I would have never thought up of or knew that I wanted. Then when I got it, I loved it. And like Ryan was saying, yeah, that it really made Luigi's character what it is today. And I think we're getting a little bit ahead of myself, but with that game and then even Dark Moon, I think really made that character. And I've always been a little more of a Mario fan over Luigi, but with those games, I love what they did with his personality and just the world around him. I think it's great. I smiled throughout both of the first two games quite a bit.
And then I love that. I would agree entirely. I also remember seeing, when I didn't have a GameCube, I remember just being fascinated of looking in like the Target or the Toys R Us catalog for around Christmas time, and just seeing the GameCube and all the games in the catalog. And Luigi's Mansion was always right there, being advertised with it, And I was not turned off. I was somebody who was I was excited for the next generation. I was more mesmerized at how awesome Luigi looked compared to what he looked like in the 64. You know what I mean? The Luigi, and I'm Ryan, I'm glad you brought this up, because I was going to say it. Like, I think Luigi's Mansion, it's what defined it. It changed who his character was that we know him today. This is what made him a scaredy cat. This is what made him the B team of the B side of the A team, because before that, I mean, he was just straight up cloned of Mario. He could do everything Mario could, just jump a little higher. He's a little taller. But we didn't have any personality or character to him. Heck, even in Smash Bros. Spoilers, guys, Luigi's is an unlockable character in Smash Bros. 64. But even then, I got the impression of like he was kind of a beast of a dude, because he was a fun character to play as. He was a powerhouse hitter, and he was different than the regular roster. And then, and don't get me started on Luigi from Mario Party. I hate that guy so much. I can't say how many times I yelled at my screen when I would, because if he's computer, he cheats. Him and Peach were the cheaters. They sucked, and he'd always do a backflip, and he'd go yoo-hoo! Every time he'd like steal my star from a boo, I would be so ticked off at this Luigi. So, and he was way skinnier too in Mario Party. So coming from that Luigi to this Luigi is much different, and I love the direction Nintendo took him. They really developed him into his own character, and I love that. I really do. The first Luigi's Mansion game as well was really appealing, because I feel like at this time, the only ghosts we really knew were boos. And the boos were kind of hidden, for sure, in the first game. Like, clearly they're there, spoilers. But they played a bigger role. They're kind of more of like a dominant ghost, but there was all these other ghosts that Nintendo introduced us to, and I thought that was really cool about the game, like a different type of ghost, different species. And then the portrait ghosts, those portrait ghosts were cool. They're unique. They had a story to them. Some of them were pretty sad, and I felt bad about having to suck some of them up. Like, I think it's the one with the crystal ball. I feel like all she does is help you, and then you thank her by sucking her up at the end. It's like, thanks for all the information. I really liked the direction the ghosts went, and the fact that they've made King Boo into basically being Luigi's Bowser is pretty neat. Oh, and the fact, dude, because this isn't about the game itself, but man, that final fight, when they got they brought Bowser out, that was intimidating to me back in the day. Like, because you're not fighting Bowser like I'm used to at that point for like Mario 64, where you grab his tail. It's an entirely different dynamic, and it's not really Bowser, but it looked like him, and it was pretty terrifying. So
I thought back in the day, like, I always just assumed that was like Bowser they brought back from the dead or something, and you blew his head off again. And I was like, man, this is kind of dark. But it's like it never really clicked until later. Like, I think it was on, I don't know if I read it in a wiki or something, but it's supposedly just like a robot Bowser or something. But yeah, back then it was even more dark than what it really was intended to be in my head, because I just thought it was Bowser. But yeah.
Well, and that was cool to see that Bowser, because again, prior to this, we had just seen Polygon 64 Bowser, which was pretty ugly, and this one was a huge step up.
That was like, I do remember it was kind of exciting actually when he popped up, because it was still the beginning of that generation. And it was like, oh, here he is, the big bad guy from the Super Nintendo and 64. So that was cool.
Yeah. Well, it was like it almost kind of felt like he hired King Boo to take out Mario for him, so Luigi had to come in to save the day. Ryan, anything to care to add about the ghosts and the portrait ghosts or anything?
I really like just they were pressed into frames. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was neat.
I liked, and that might be a segue into like EGAD. I loved how he made that to press them into the picture. Like he's a big player there, and he's an unsung hero in the series. I think in a lot of ways. He causes a lot of the problems too. So I don't know if you can call him a hero, but he's just a silly old man, eccentric and.
He is, and he was kind of like, everyone loves the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. He kind of was like that first step in Nintendo between Mario, because he made, obviously, the Poltergust and Luigi's Mansion, but he also made Mario's, I can't even think of his water jetpack right now.
Flood.
In Mario Sunshine. It was made by Flood. Oh, yeah, Flood. He made Flood, and they made that connection. I always thought that was really cool.
He made the paintbrush that Bowser Jr. uses. In that game.
I did not realize that.
Yep. He caused the whole problem in the first place. Sold it to the wrong guy. But I guess he made an appearance in Mario and Luigi
Partners in Time. I think that was
the first one. I think he's in the first one. Even he popped up on like a Game Boy or something and talked to the guys.
He's a character that I'm surprised that honestly kind of hasn't. He was really more known in the GameCube days, but he kind of has taken a back seat since then.
And it's surprising we haven't seen him in Mario Kart yet. I wouldn't be completely surprised if he doesn't pop up in Mario Kart on the phones or something.
Mario Tennis.
But he did. I think he was credited for making the vacuum cart that Luigi used in the DS game.
I've always wondered why he wasn't in Mario Kart 8. I'm like, we have baby Rosalina, but we can't have EGAD and Diddy Kong. Like, what's the deal? EGAD deserves a little more. He's left out. Party, tennis, something.
But no, I'm really glad you brought him up, because that's so true. You can't think of Luigi's Mansion without thinking of Professor EGAD, and he is in every game. He's in the new game. He's in the second game. So let's just hop over to second game. So this was after kind of a long hiatus, guys. I don't have it pulled up actually the years of. Between Luigi's Mansion
2001 was Luigi's Mansion 1, and Dark Moon, or 2 in other regions, is 2013.
That is a long time. Talk about being dormant of a franchise. That's kind of a surprise, because I guess maybe Luigi's Mansion 1 didn't sell as hot as they thought it would, didn't it? I don't think it did. I think it kind of undersold their expectations, but that is a very long time, and I remember being so hyped. I remember watching the E3 direct. I was actually down at church camp because I was a camp counselor this summer, and I got away. It was like camp counselor training week before we actually started getting campers, and I remember taking my new Mac. I had just graduated high school, and I got a Mac laptop for a graduation gift. And I remember taking it down to a little shed area where I could have Wi-Fi. And I remember watching the Nintendo E3 Direct. That was right when I was getting back into gaming again. I'd been kind of away from it for a while. And I remember watching Luigi's Mansion 3 trailer get shown. Not 3, sorry. Luigi's Mansion 2 trailer get shown off for the 3DS. And I was stoked. I mean, I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is awesome. I can't believe this is happening. So when the game obviously came out, I pre-ordered it and I picked it up at a GameStop in Noblesville, and where I was living at the time. And man, it was good times. Seriously, it was. I couldn't believe this franchise was back. Now the game was obviously a little different from what we remember. Ryan, you play Dark Moon, right, Ryan?
I didn't get to play through all of it. I've got an interesting story with that. But,
oh my! Well, so you want to go into how this was different than the first one?
Yeah, it was more of a, I guess, kind of adventure game. I mean, in some ways, like it was more arcadey where like
very
you weren't in
arcadey.
one big
It's good.
mansion.
Yes.
It was a bunch of different mansions you go to. Basically, you became a Ghostbuster, and you went around to different places trying to like take away the ghosts in the areas. You know, Luigi has a job. You know,
It was an interesting concept, I would say, but it didn't. I would wonder if that was the concept of the first Luigi's Mansion, if we would feel different about being in one mansion as opposed to going to multiple mansions.
I think some of the little things could have been better about it. And I think that would have made a big difference because I wasn't as big on the mission structure of 2 either. But I think some of what caused that problem, because I did still like the game. There's a lot to like about it. The personality in it is
not a bad
great,
game.
But yeah, I think some of it.
I feel like some of the ghosts fell flat a little bit.
Yeah, there's that, but then there's also like when you're in the missions, you can't really go and do anything else, and I feel like there's a lot of time in between. Like you'll be in the middle of doing something and it'll just get cut off. Like EGAT will call you and then you'll get pulled back. And then you have to wait through that whole loading screen and go through all that and then go back. And I feel like there was just a lot of like wasted time.
They did have some really cool fights and stuff. Like the thing that really pops into my head was like, I think it was an ice spider or something. Yeah. Like there was like spider involved and there's like ice too. Like that was really cool.
I think the
to have to go through
first boss was that giant spider. You had to like pull the web. I can't remember exactly how it worked now.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
It definitely had its good parts.
They built upon the mechanics of the first game in a really good way. Like they advanced it that way, but it lost some of its horror element. It was really and you can see that in like Resident Evil games are scary, and then like you get into the more actiony stuff, and that's kind of what this game became. And it's very puzzle oriented still. I think that they kept that spirit going, but it did lose some of its spirits, if you will, of the scary edge that it had in the first one. And I'm hoping that they could capture that in this third one. Hopefully, I'd like to see that.
The portrait ghost.
Now,
I said the portrait ghosts are gone, so that's unfortunate, but I think that was part of it. It's not as dark either. It's something about the way the GameCube made it look. I don't know how to explain it, really. I think the 3DS, they tried to make it look what they called better, but I still like how the GameCube kind of did with the visuals for that first game.
Now, they did have the first game ported to the 3DS. Did you get a chance to play that one?
I did not.
I never got a chance to jump on that one either. And I was kind of curious to see like if it borrowed any of the assets from Dark Moon in that aspect. And I haven't heard too much on that. I'd be curious to go and see that and see if there's anything that they brought over that was similar and what
I
they
sort of half looked it up. It doesn't look quite like the GameCube version. Like it's almost like something in between from what I can tell. Like that's just going off of a YouTube video I watched a while back. So it's a little bit brighter.
Okay.
I feel like that's what kind of took away from the first game going to Dark Moon. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, I remember like it just being a really dark game and playing it. Like especially like if the lights are off in the house, it's like it's harder to see the screen sometimes in the old one, but they definitely brightened it up quite a bit in Dark Moon. And was the story quite as serious? Not that Luigi's Mansion stuff was serious, but was Mario really captured in this one, or what was the premise to it? I can't remember the main story.
Yeah, so while we're here, I mean, one was pretty much just Mario. Well, Luigi had won a mansion in a contest he didn't win. Mario went ahead. Long story short, ended up getting captured. You end up saving Mario. Now, but in 2, Mario's captured, but it's almost like an afterthought. Like, I don't even think, if I remember right, you don't even know he's captured until like halfway through the game. Because it's the Dark Moon. It's kind of funny to sit here and try to describe it because I feel like I'm going to forget something and it's kind of goofy. But the Dark Moon in the sky was like keeping all the ghosts in EGAD's lab under control. So they were all nice and working for him. But then King Boo like breaks it into pieces. So your goal is to go and find those Dark Moon pieces and put it back together. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting, I guess, but it's still kind of simple in its own way.
I don't think that they missed the mark in any measure. For the second one, it just didn't capture that spookiness of it. But it still had that charm, and it had humor, and it had some awesome boss fights. And so I think that overall, like, it's still a Luigi's Mansion game. It didn't fall flat there, even though they did take some things away and brighten some things up. I think that they did a really good job presenting that, especially on the DS. Like, that's impressive. 3DS, seeing it in 3D.
Yeah, and I did actually use the 3D on that game. I thought it looked pretty good, but that's one thing with. Go ahead.
Now, if I remember right, that game supported the Circle Pad Pro?
That I don't know. I never did have one.
I don't know. I have to look that one up. Definitely, because I want to say that it did.
It makes sense that it would have. I mean, it did have some good new mechanics, like the way the light works in it, where you have to hold the button down and like flash the ghost. I do like that a little bit better in Dark Moon.
Yeah.
The flash in one, I usually catch myself like turning my flashlight off so I can get closer before I like stun him. I just feel like it flowed a little bit better in Dark Moon. That part did.
Oh, no, they didn't put the Circle Pad Pro feature in there.
That surprises me a little bit. I feel like it was almost made for it.
Yeah, I think they said it wasn't really going to add anything to it. I don't know if they did that with the Luigi's Mansion remake for the 3DS, if they used the Circle Pad Pro for that one, because it would make sense to use it for that. But I don't think, the way they had set up with Dark Moon, I don't think they needed that extra stick. Because you weren't really like trying to pull against the ghost, were you?
No, well, yeah, I guess
there wasn't a twin stick mechanic really.
It was. I'm trying to picture it in my head, but like there was a little meter.
Like when you latched onto the ghost, it's almost like you were thrown on a rail instead of having to.
Yeah, there's like a meter. If the farther it went up, I think you hit A at a certain time, and it would like shock them. Like you weren't really like pulling them as much as you were in one. It didn't function quite the same way.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if they did use that circle pad later, especially since it came out on the new quote unquote 3DS with that extra. I don't want to call it an analog stick because it's like a button, but the Circle Pad Pro would probably imitate that.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if that would work with that. But
so I guess this is a great time to segue into the fact that we also had the arcade of the Luigi's Mansion, which is basically the same game.
It's Dark Moon. The story is
the Dark Moon game.
I beat it. I played through an entire thing at Dave and Buster's with Traven. We beat the game together, and I mean, it literally is pretty much the same game. It's just it's more of a different experience from the controller to like real Ghostbuster packs and whatnot. I mean, overall, I know I correct me if you've already said this, but like the ghosts for the second game were just very bland. They were not very. I felt like the first ghost had so many more personalities in the first game. The second one was just kind of basic. Even the bosses were not that interesting, especially not compared to Portrait Ghosts. Portrait Ghosts. What am I saying? But King Boo is back as the baddie in this one too, and it was a different kind of fight than the first one. There was no Bowser involved this time, and it was all King Boo. Did you guys? Well, Ryan, why didn't you get to finish this? Did you say that already?
No, I didn't mention that.
So spoilers.
I was playing through. I was really into it. I was enjoying it, and then my sister-in-law came over, and I think it was for like Christmas or something, and she hadn't played Luigi's Mansion game. I'm like, you know what? Take this home and play it. And so I just gave it to her to play, and I didn't see it back.
She sold it
until like maybe, I don't know, it was like Christmas of last year. So like I didn't even see it for a while, and I forgot I even owned the game, and it came back to me, and then I just never got back to it. So
you do have it now, right? It's back in your possession.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway.
Well, if you ever get some free time, you should pop it back in and finish it because overall it's a good game. It's not a bad game. It just didn't do the things I think that most Luigi's Mansion fans really loved about the first one. They try to change it up, which kudos to them. But I think we all prefer the original formula, which brings us to the next game. Going from Luigi's Mansion 2 to not 3, we make a side stop here that Luigi's Mansion made an appearance on the Wii U, and that was with the Nintendo Land. They had a whole Luigi's Mansion section dedicated to it, and it actually, I would argue, is probably the best minigame in the game. I had a lot of fun with it. I remember having my sister and brother-in-law come over, and even my mother-in-law and father-in-law would all be over, and we'd all play it, and you would have to run around as a ghost, try not to get caught. It was a really great minigame, and it's a shame that it's tied just to the Wii U. I would love to see Nintendo do something more of it. It was spooky. It had some jump scares, like, oh crap, I got caught, something like that, you know. What'd you guys think about that real quick?
Definitely great use of the gamepad, being the hunting ghost versus all the other players, and all the other players trying to play on the screen, don't know where you are, and you pop up at the random places. It was good. That
was a lot of fun, and it did showcase actually one of the really cool things about the Wii U. I feel like, not to talk too much about Nintendo Land, but I feel like nothing hardly did it as well as it did, and that was one of the best games on there easily.
Oh yeah, I think you're.
I
think you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
Josh.
and you would look at the gamepad. For those who hadn't seen it, I believe if you looked in the gamepad, you were the ghost, right? And then the other players would be up on the screen. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. That was definitely one.
The other players had flashlights that had to charge up, I think. So you had a limited amount of charge.
Yeah, you had to pick up battery power, I believe. Yes. And you could run out of battery and you'd be in trouble. You'd basically be unarmed.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
was really fun. And that would be really cool to get Nintendo to do something like that again.
So after this, Nintendo decided to put Luigi's Mansion on the Switch in the form of Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers Ultimate, right? That's the next one we're going to stop at?
No. I mean, yes, we got Luigi's Mansion and cameos in Smash, and there's even some Luigi's Mansion Mario Kart levels, so I guess you could give them some honorable mentions.
Actually, the first, if I'm right, the first hint at Luigi's Mansion 3 was through Smash with the...
It was, yes.
The Belmont trailer, when Luigi walks in, and he actually dies, but before death literally kills him with a scythe, he shoots out that little plunger. There's a name for it, and I can't remember the name for it now, but he shoots out that little suction cup thing.
Yep, and that's a new weapon he has in the new game. That's a great segue into the game that not everyone, but a lot of people will be getting today when this episode airs. It comes out on Halloween of 2019. And Luigi's Mansion 3, guys, I try to not watch too much. I've watched bits and pieces, but man, I know our Game Explain and other people have posted the whole entire intro cutscene. I'm like, why would you want to see that before the game actually comes out? I feel like that ruins the experience to watch that now before I actually get my hands on it. I will say from the little clips I've seen, it looks so cool. The graphics, this looks like a top-notch Nintendo game. You know what I'm saying? There's some of them that has I don't know. The graphics don't look quite as polished per se. There's a big difference between Mario Rabbids graphics and Mario Odyssey graphics. And I get Mario Odyssey quality vibes from Luigi's Mansion 3. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
I haven't watched it enough to really pay attention. I've been pretty dark on this game, not looking at things. I don't want any spoilers on it. I want to enjoy it.
It's looking good. I'm excited. I haven't been too spoiled. I know some things from E3 in general, but overall, I think it looks great. I'm real excited. I'm excited to climb this giant tower. I'm excited to see how the plot plays out.
Yeah, the review embargo actually went up today, so I've been watching a lot of the reviews and listening to those. And from what I can tell with the visuals, a lot of people are saying that it's one of the best looking games on the Switch. I guess
Really?
Artistically, it seems to look maybe a little closer to Dark Moon than I would say the original game. But I almost feel like the Switch does it better, if that makes sense. Like it might be a little brighter and a little more cartoony than the original, but it's better here. It's pulled off better here than it is in Dark Moon, from what I can tell. And the reviews actually...
It looks very good, yeah.
Yeah, and the reviews actually are turning out really well so far. So a lot of them I've seen, just looking at my phone real quick, actually, I've seen a lot of 9s out of 10s, handful 8.5s. I mean, solid stuff.
Maybe it's not fair to hope of this, but I'm really hoping that they do capture that spookiness and that scariness that the first one had. I really hope that. Like, I'm maybe put a little bit too much faith in that.
I think that's what...
I mean, I've heard...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's what, like, everybody wants, but unfortunately I don't. I think it's a little closer to Dark Moon in that regard. But...
Okay.
Like, yeah.
That's what I've heard.
I think it works a little better there.
And when you get like crazy like locales, like, you know, desert in a hotel, it's like, yeah, I guess there's some things that can be more spoopy than scary, like jump scare and things like that. So, you know, it'd be fun to go up against a mummy and suck the toilet paper off of him. Well,
it would be interesting, honestly, to, you know, I'm talking beyond this, if they could eventually ever go back to the original mansion and see what happened. Like, maybe there's like more built into it, and it's like, because we talk about wanting to have that dark feeling, if they could go back to the original mansion and there's stuff has been added to it, maybe it's an even bigger mansion now. Someone like added on to it, and you're like, what has happened here? And it could be even darker. So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to the game. I'm sure everyone else is too. Guys, that's really the recap of Luigi's Mansion, the series. And I think we should just round this episode out and, call it a night. We're tired too. It's really late here when we're recording. It's almost midnight. So, Josh, thanks for joining us today, man. Thanks for also leading the charge on our first giveaway ever. So it's 3 years when this is our first giveaway. And guys, we intend to do more of these moving forward. We have a lot of plans for the show that we are wanting to unroll here in the near future for everybody, and we'll share that at a later date. But Josh, before the show started, we got everything in. We calculated it. We had the cutoff time earlier today. And we have a winner. It was randomly generated. Had to follow all the qualifications. And we are going to announce that winner. So, Josh, who is our winner of the copy of Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch?
The winner is Eddie Ordaz.
Eddie, congratulations, my friend. Thank you guys, everybody who participated. Thanks for following us on Twitter. We're glad to have you a part of the Nintendo nostalgia. Hopefully you guys go back and listen to some older episodes and stick with us for the future ones. Because we got a lot of fun things we're talking about and just re-experiencing. Talking about old games just makes us re-experience the stuff. Talking about Luigi's Mansion, the first one, made me actually really like, man, I kind of want to go buy the one for the 3DS now and play it. Even though I'm like, but no, I have Luigi's Mansion 3 coming out. Why would I do that? So, and then Ryan, you got any final words before we close out here?
I'm ready for Luigi's Mansion. You guys have got me hyped for it. I wanted to play 3, and don't know if we'll be able to get it on launch day. I'm going to be at a convention, but I hope to pick it up soon, especially if the multiplayer turns out really good, being able to play with friends. And I'm hoping it captures that little bit of that Nintendo Land nostalgia with the new what is that? The Scare Scraper, what have you?
Yeah.
There's other mini games in that too, actually,
great.
but they're not all online. But it looks like a good time.
For sure. Everyone, thank you so much. Thanks for everyone calling in. Thank you for everyone who participated in our first giveaway contest, and new listeners we may be having now. Welcome to the show, and we hope you enjoy it and participate and stick around. Join us on our private community page on Facebook as well. We have a lot of engagement there. So, everyone, have a blessed one. We are looking forward to taking on season 4 of our podcast and having lots new fun discussions and fun episodes for everyone ahead. See you later.
Bye.
Later, Preston.